Star Fox 64 has come out for the third time, but still somehow I've never done a boss ranking for this game, so why not now? It's the perfect time because we have the ultimate remake of Star Fox. That is until like another 10 years and Nintendo will probably remake it again. But yes, we are ranking every single boss in Star Fox from worst to best. This is specifically the Star Fox remake on the Switch 2, just making that clear because it doesn't have a subtitle. If you enjoy videos like this, stop what you're doing because we are getting ever so close to our beloved goal of 400,000 subscribers, and we have a lot of fun stuff planned, so make sure you leave that like and subscribe before you head out today. Without further ado, here is every boss in Star Fox for Switch 2 ranked from worst to best. Starting off our list at number 17 is really no surprise because, yeah, come on, it's the first boss in the game being Granga from Corneria. Granga is literally a joke boss. You fight him in all range mode where you're simply just shooting out one of the legs and then blasting his pillar sticking out the back of the mech. It's as simple as it used to be, and it's just really a joke. It's such a joke, there's a mission in the game that has you defeating this boss in less than 10 seconds. It's such a joke that I actually had to extend the gameplay and just mess around for a while just so I can have him on the screen longer than 10 seconds. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I wish they expanded it a bit more in the remake, but man, I guess it's the first boss in the game, so it's definitely as easy as you could possibly get with a boss battle.
My Emperor! I failed you!
Next up, we have the Bolse core. I hate Bolse. I think the whole mission is just silly and stupid, flying around in a big circle taking out satellites, and fighting the core as a boss really is no better. You're just flying around and doing U-turns in order to fly right at this giant beaming pillar and shooting red squares off of it. It's not that exciting, and it's actually really frustrating when you're trying to line up that last square and you gotta keep slowing down, waiting for your chance, and a lot of the times you're just gonna smack right into the middle of that thing. I don't know, I've never been a fan of this mission in general, so yeah, maybe it's just bias, but I do not like this thing. Coming in at number 15, we have the Shogun Warlord. Now, this one actually starts off with 2 battles against some soldiers of his that you fight in mech suits that kind of fly around in the all-range area. But it's the battle against the Shogun Warlord that technically counts as the boss here, which is one super mech guy. Also, do we know if he's even in this mech? They show a couple of scenes of his mech throughout the game, and it seems to be robotic. So is he controlling it elsewhere as like a remote control robot? Or is he actually in this thing and they just didn't show it? I don't know, I'm confused. But anyways, this battle isn't terrible. It's kind of just tracking down this giant mech guy as he's flying through space. It actually looks really cool, but the battle itself is super easy. I mean, you can take him down in a quick session, especially if you have blue double lasers. I like the presentation of him blasting off the ship and everything, but still, it's just too easy to be any higher. Like, it doesn't really pose much of a threat, and it's over before you even get to enjoy the battle.
This is an honorable defeat!
Number 14, we have the boss against Spyborg. Spyborg is actually pretty cool because he's one of the few and only bosses in the entire game that actually has a branching path that comes from this boss battle, where you actually have to defeat him as quickly as possible, or he will backhand Slippy all the way down to Titanium. Ouch. Overall, this boss battle also suffers from just being a little too easy, but I guess it's slightly cooler than the other two because it does have a second phase where you just blast a little tiny head on the top. Spyborg thankfully has way better attacks that cause you to have to actually move your R-wing around and watch out as he throws space debris at you and tries to backhand you as well. We're not going down there also, but yeah, Spyborg, definitely not terrible.
Why has the creator abandoned me?
I can definitely see why some people would prefer to fight Spyborg over Attack Carrier. Attack Carrier is technically another first boss of the game, but just taken down the alternate route of Corneria. This boss battle isn't terrible and teaches the player about multiple targets that you might have to shoot on bosses, and this one has 3 different ones as it's firing missiles at you and sending enemy troops. This one could be very tricky while also trying to keep your team alive as they're getting hunted down by predator missiles. The boss also has a second phase where he'll start firing at you in rapid succession while also looping around each time. It's actually a pretty good way to test your aim as you can fire at him from afar. I don't think this is a bad boss at all, and especially a really good one to actually start the game. Once again, it's not all that hard, but I think it does its job pretty well.
You're no match for Andross!
Number 12, we have Meteo Crusher. This one has 2 phases, and this one actually has you practicing really good aim, because you can't just fire at weak spots this time. You have to almost shoot the little circle where the weak spot has a firing hole, and you have to be very precise in order to deal damage. But before you even get to that stage, you have to shoot glowing panels as this main cylinder contraption spins around, and it also consumes your shots if you don't fire perfectly at those yellow dots. Doing this on challenge mode is frustrating because you can't shoot anything besides those dots. The second phase has you focusing on very precise shots on the 2 glowing dots at the top and bottom parts of the ship. This isn't terribly difficult, but it does require you to kind of lock in, and his attacks can be brutal with his plasma rays that he's shooting at you. This one isn't anything crazy, but I think it is a step better than the rest, but it's time to move on to some better ones here.
I can't believe I lost to this scum!
For a lot of people, Gorgon is without a doubt going to be one of the most difficult bosses in the game. Coming off of a hectic Area 6 stage, you're already going to be beaten up from the stage itself, and when you get to this boss, it is not play around. Your job is to shoot and destroy the 3 plasma orbs that circle the core, and that's not really the hard part. Actually, dealing damage at all is not that hard, it's just staying alive. This thing will hit you with almost every attack in his arsenal. Flying missiles, enemy troopers, and giant claws and tentacles that try to grab you, not to mention a giant massive mega laser towards the end. So it's safe to say that this boss has some pretty insane attacks. But I don't know, I never really saw this boss as something extremely spectacular when it comes to defeating it. In fact, it actually feels kind of anticlimactic. You're shooting the core and it really doesn't even make much of a sound, and in fact, in the original game, you didn't even really know you were doing damage until you started to see the core change colors. And perhaps the worst part is you will circle through the same stage over and over again, no matter how fast you are at taking it out, and you have to just wait for it to throw its tentacles at you, defeat the tentacles, wait for it to shoot its laser again, and then finally reveal its core in the plasma beams again. It's over and over and over again, and after the first couple of times, it starts to grow stale. It's not a bad boss battle at all, but when you're replaying this game the way it's meant to be played, over and over and over again in this stage, this is a boss that you'll easily get tired of fighting pretty quickly. Or not, unless you're a psychopath. It's not bad, it's just, it just takes forever. Now let's head on over to Titania in order to save Slippy, because coming in at number 10, we have Goras. This is a weird ancient bioweapon alien creature that grabs Slippy, and it's your job to set him free while also shooting off all of his different appendages. I really like this boss because it's one of the 2 that you get to use the Landmaster for, and it feels really cool to dodge its attacks, especially its tail spin if you can see it coming and flying above it. If you can see it coming. This boss just feels satisfying when you're correctly dodging everything, flipping and spinning around, hovering over his tail and freeing Slippy. I really just like the way this boss feels, and also dodging that giant laser beam that it shoots out and putting a hole in its chest in order to end it. This is not a difficult boss whatsoever, and it's another boss that you'll beat in under a minute, but still, I think it's a really unique one. This giant creepy alien that's buried in the sand and has Slippy is a pretty unique one. Coming in at number 9, we have the first final boss of this game. I know, if you're not used to this game, having 2 first bosses and 2 final bosses sounds weird. But this is the first fight against Dr. Andross if you take the easy route, and it's a pretty easy boss battle. As far as final bosses go, it's your typical head and hands boss, and now that I think about it, he might be the one that created that trend. If you have blue lasers, this boss battle can be a breeze. All you have to do is shoot one of his eyes enough until he holds up the opposite hand. Odds are he won't do a single lick of damage to you because his attacks are extremely telegraphed, including his extremely slow electric laser fingers. Phase 2, he'll try to eat you where you'll need to slam on the brakes, but if you have any bombs, you can just chuck those bad boys down his gullet, which then leads to probably the most pathetic final phase of a boss battle ever. He's just this flying robot head, and he's lucky to get 1 attack at you because he literally is like 3 shots in an eyeball and he's dead. This final boss may not have been that great, but we come back again for another one later. Well, you didn't have to wait that long because we're at Dr. Andross number 2. Yeah, this is pretty much the same exact fight, it only adds an extra all-range mode section at the very end. You take out the eyes and then his hands, and eventually you'll get to his brain. I think what makes this battle so great is also the setting. You're in this giant laboratory now, fighting this giant robotic brain. It's pretty cool, but at the same time, it's extremely simple. I actually found it easier than the original. You fly around and take a couple of shots at its robotic eyeballs before shooting the back of the brain itself. You shoot the back of the brain a couple times and then he'll teleport right behind you. All you have to do is turn around and keep shooting him over and over again. It's just a little rinse and repeat type of boss battle and it's over before you know it. But it's still a pretty cool one, just nowhere near my favorite in the game.
Final town, I'm taking you with me!
Coming in at number 7, we have Saucerer. Yeah, I guess that's how you pronounce it. Saucerer? Sure. This boss always reminded me of Independence Day, just from all the pilots talking to each other and taking out all the mini ships in order to take out the UFO. That's all I can ever think about. I love that movie, so that's it. This is Independence Day, the boss battle. Now, Independence Day came out 1 year before this game, so I highly doubt they even had time to reference that. It might just be pure coincidence, but yeah, this is just too cool. This boss is not difficult at all, but it has such an amazing scope and scale. I love it, dude. Taking out a bunch of smaller ships in order for the hatches to drop more, and then you have to take out the hatches themselves is such a unique idea. And then taking out the core in a quick time limit before it detonates and blows up the whole area is so cool. It gives you a bit of eagerness where you have to hurry, actually putting some stress on the player. It's just great, dude. I mean, seriously, this is just a classic boss battle. Plus, Bill's here. Who doesn't love Bill?
Is that Bill? Hi, Bill!
We did it. All units, disengage. Enjoy the fireworks, everybody.
Next up, we have Mechbeth at number 6. You know, all this time, I didn't know this boss was actually named after the planet, but just a slightly different way for like Mechbeth. Yeah, I just now figured that out. That's kind of crazy. Not only do I really love this planet, but I also really like this boss battle. You're chasing down this train as it's driving off in the distance, and you have multiple ways that you can actually take this guy out. You can simply hit all the switches, which will cause his train tracks to switch, slamming him right into a factory building, or you can defeat him the casual way. Now, this boss battle can have a lot of things going on. You have tons of falling darts from the sky. You also have pillars and doors slamming, opening, and closing that you have to time down just right, and then you have to focus on shooting this guy out of the sky. After a while, a hatch will open on the train that you'll need to shoot in order to disable it and cause it wobbling around, giving you a chance to take it out. Once again, this is not a boss that's going to give you too many issues. It's not that difficult, but it is a very satisfying one to take out and dodge its attacks. Now we are down to our final 5, and at number 5 we have Vulcain. Personally, I feel like Vulcain is the hardest boss battle in the entire game. You also will be probably coming into this battle kind of beaten up from what's before it. Not to mention, you will slowly drain life in this entire Solar stage, so you'll constantly have to be fighting to stay alive even if you aren't getting hit. Your job is to take out each of the arms and then eventually take out his face. But he's constantly swiping at you, firing lava flares, and even rising the lava tide itself. It's one of the few bosses that actually causes you to have to use your loop in order to dodge some of the higher tides or slow down just enough or speed past it before it even rises, forcing you to put all the mechanics that the game teaches you to the test. Odds are, by the time he gets to his final phase, you are probably beat up from this battle. It's a very tough one and also a pretty good one in my opinion. Coming in at number 4, we have Golak. This is a small boss before you actually fight Andross for the first time in Venom 1. This is actually probably higher than a lot of people would put this, but I really like this fight. It causes you to fly through this very tight tunnel while also dodging tons of pillars that are extruding from the side walls and even the floor and ceiling. It actually can be very difficult, and it forces you to have really good flying controls while also aiming at the weak points. You have to take out chunks of brick all over his body to expose his weak point. You have to take out his shoulders, his arms, feet, legs, and even his head. It's actually pretty well done. You're doing all this while, like I said, dodging all these traps in this tunnel, and you have sort of a time limit because if he gets to the end of the hallway, he'll actually escape, causing you to crash into the wall. I really like the pressure that they put on the player while also having you have really good R-wing maneuverability skills and perfect aim. Coming in at number 3, we have Team Star Wolf. Now this one's kind of cheating because you can actually fight them in another area in this game, which is Ficina earlier on in the game on the easy path. Now this is an iconic dogfight against 4 highly skilled pilots at the end of this game. This is the end of the hard path where you're truly tested with your flight maneuverability and aim and how you are handling your R-Wing in the all-range mode, because this is very tough, especially if you're going for a gold medal, because you have to not only take out these guys very fast, but you have to make sure your team stays alive. They're constantly tracking down your teammates, so you'll be flying around, zipping around each side of the area, helping everybody out as you can while also trying to stay alive yourself, constantly doing barrel rolls and flipping around doing U-turns just to get out the way. This is just a good old-fashioned dogfight, but done in an extremely good way, and it's really going to test the best of the best players. But it's definitely difficult without being too difficult. The battle never feels unfair, even though it seems like it's 4v1 a lot of the times because your teammates are going to get obliterated. But this is a really good boss battle. The only complaint I have is I wish it was more than just doing constant loops and U-turns over and over again, because it definitely does get tiresome.
Tenacious, aren't you? I don't believe it!
Now, I don't know what the general consensus is with these final 2 bosses that I have at number 1 and number 2, but as I look at this, I feel like it might not resonate with a lot of people, but man, do I love these bosses. Bacoon is a super unique one because it's the only stage in the game where you're actually using a submarine to fight this thing. It's the only stage you use a submarine, period. The Blue Marine has a unique feature where it can fire endless rockets, and your job is to use these rockets in a combination with your lasers in order to blow off the barnacles off the top of its head, so that way it can enter Phase 2. Phase 2 has you taking out these tissues that stick from the top and bottom of the clown. You'll need to use a combination of your lasers and follow up with missiles in order to break the tendrils, before getting to yet again another phase, where you have to shoot the eye. Now the only way to expose the weak point is to blast it with lasers and follow up with a missile. What makes this especially difficult is you'll see a cannon on each side of its mouth firing tons of these robotic bubbles. They used to just be bubbles, but now they're robotic. But these things could also deflect your missiles, so you'll either have to take out the cannons or have a perfectly timed missile strike. But man, I really just love this boss. The creepy, deep, dark atmosphere of the bottom of the ocean, plus a unique submarine boss fight, it's great.
You did it!
And coming in at number 1 is without a doubt my favorite boss in this game, Sarumarine. This is one of the few bosses in this entire game that I have fought so many times, of course with all the different versions of Star Fox 64, and I never get tired of. This is another stage in the game that I absolutely love, and I really love its boss battle because it's one of the most unique in the entire game. In fact, it is the only boss in the entire game that has you using bombs, and you have to use them. You shoot these giant cannonballs that it shoots out in order to collect the bombs from him. And this is a boss that will actually have you thinking the first time. You can't just willy-nilly fire bombs at the cannons on each side. The ship will dip into the water and repair itself. You actually have to bomb the 2 exhaust vents at the top. This prevents him from dipping into the water. This is a really cool design. After taking out the 2 exhaust vents, you then can take out the cannons. After you take out one cannon, he will turn around to grab that cannon out of the water with his crane. This is your chance to blow up the crane now. There's so many moving parts to this boss, it's really well done. And finally, the boss will go on an all-out shooting spree, weaving left and right, firing tons of laser blasts and also a giant wrecking ball at you. It's actually so cool. There's a bit of difficulty, a learning curve, it's all here.
Curse you, Star Fox!
And that is every single boss in Star Fox for Switch 2 ranked from worst to best. Let me know what you thought down below of my list and tell me what you agreed with or disagreed with and what is your personal list. Thank you so much for tuning in, and like always, I hope you have a blessed rest of the day, and I'll see you all on the next one. See ya, guys.